Ooh, look at that.
Okay, I think we're good. I think we're live. I think we're here again. Episode 6, Dapper Devils podcast, doing our manga anime talk of the week. And before we go too far, we'll get into the sponsors. Say thank you to Pixel Popcorn Media Group, James Thomas Productions, and Unscripted Studios. Today we're going to get back into One Piece. But before we go into One Piece, I'm going to try to hit a trombone for our man Derek, who came at us with Oshi no Ko. If that shows up, great. If not,
You've got the.
I got the volume
on
down.
The very bottom.
It's not showing up anyways, but we'll try to do it again. That's for you, Derek. So Oshi no Ko.
Oshiko no, I believe.
Oh, I don't know. I wrote it down however you told me.
I don't remember.
But I did write that it sucked. Yeah. Okay. It's by the
Same creator as
Love is War.
Kaguya-sama Love is War, yeah.
Yeah. So and Love is War we've talked about a couple times now, and I think that show is great and
fantastic.
Hilarious.
Yep.
And as much as I wanted to have no expectations going into this recommendation, I did have some. I expected it to be good.
When you get such a heavy hitter like Love is War, okay, they're very different stories, entirely.
Yes, they're very different, but I think he was trying to be just as sarcastic with the second story, but the way, it just doesn't hit the same.
It's very different from going from something that's so irreverent and has no purpose is the wrong word, but nothing in it matters really, versus something that is such a serious story.
Yeah, I think that's the entire overarching satire of the series is that, A, would you actually really care about this pop star having things go wrong?
I wouldn't, but I also don't care about celebrities like that.
Well, exactly. And so I feel like that was what he was going for.
Yeah.
I just thought it came out really weird. And
the whole idea, I don't want to say too much on it just because I think it is a new show, so I don't want to give out spoilers as far as the main plot of the story.
You mean about the pop star being pregnant and then having to hide her kids, and then the kids being human beings that died within the 9 months that she got pregnant, and then all of a sudden were her kids?
Yeah, that.
Oh, yeah, we won't talk about those spoilers.
Truthfully, though, we gave it a good 3 episodes. The first one's an hour and a half. The second, and then everything after that is just the 23-minute episode.
Yeah.
So, 2 hours worth of content that we did at least watch. I would say that's at least a fair shot before he's saying, oh, I don't like this show or anything like that. And like I was saying to you the other day, I don't hate it. It's so different from Love is War that, I'm not as interested in it.
So it makes sense. And what I was saying yesterday is, I'm new still. At some point, I'll be able to stop saying that. But either make it dark and weird or make it completely stupid. The plot line of this one was kind of in between.
Yeah.
It was weird, but not really dark.
It's got dark moments for sure, at least from what we saw.
But in the context of demons and ghoulies and that type of shit, it doesn't. It's just people get murdered.
Yeah.
Which that's every movie,
Yeah. This is more of this is what a slice of life anime is considered, where it's no one has any special powers. It's just basically real world people doing real world things. I know that this is a little bit more outlandish, but compared to One Piece, which is your typical shonen, where it's they all have super strong abilities and they get stronger as the series goes on.
Yeah. I get that. I guess what I'm saying is this is a slice of life I wish I didn't slice into.
That's fair.
And that's about all the time I think we should spend on that.
Yeah.
Other than that,
you've been watching more Jujutsu Kaisen.
We have been getting further along. Well, I've been getting further along. You're already further along in JJK. I'm starting to really enjoy it. And see, that to me is a good blend because the the pink-haired guy.
Oh my god, Yuji Itadori.
Okay.
Yeah, the main character.
Insanely stupid.
Absolutely.
And so I love it.
Yeah.
Because he's also insanely powerful.
Right.
And you're like, the balance of stupidity and power is perfect for me. Like, I love that.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's like, I like what I think I like. Jesus. I think what I like a lot about that show is the fact that, like, a lot of anime, you know, they'll explain everything, which it's fine. It's just a thing that happens. At least with Yuji being in it, it kind of helps because, like, he's your Usopp, where he's the regular average Joe, where he won't know certain things because he's never grown up in this world of the sorcerers.
Right.
So when he asks a question, they're like, oh, well, we can explain it. And it doesn't feel like it's so in your face, like, you're stupid. Here you go.
Right. And, yeah, so I really enjoy that. I like the art a lot in that show.
Those poor animators. Haven't seen their family in months.
Well, their bank account thanks them.
Hopefully.
I would think.
I would hope. But like that was what I was telling you the other day. Studio Mappa, they're the ones that have been working on that show, but they're doing basically every show right now. I mean, they're doing Attack on Titan, they're doing Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, they're doing Demon Slayer. I mean, they're doing a lot.
Yeah, they have an aggressive agenda.
Yes.
So we've been watching more of that recently, and who's the one guy that I said I didn't like? By the end of the episode, I liked him more.
Was it Toto?
Just the guy that's like, I'm not going into overtime.
Oh,
I have to
Nanami.
I have to kill you on the clock.
Yeah, Nanami. The suit.
Yeah, that guy.
I thought you were talking about Toto, the guy that's like, what's your ideal woman? The big, buff, dumb dude with the scars.
Oh, gotcha. That guy's an idiot.
That guy's amazing. it only gets better with him.
But yeah, no, I like the characters in that show. I like the art direction. I like the story. And so I think, that one's worth watching for sure. I know we didn't feature it on our thumbnail or whatever, but...
Yeah, we did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's the little picture of Gojo running through the field.
Oh.
I'll murder you.
That is right. That scene is hilarious.
It's fantastic because it comes out of nowhere.
Right. Which also brings up a point because some people refuse to watch anime in English. Some people refuse to watch it in Japanese. Some people are impatient and have to watch it as it gets released just because they have to consume it.
Some people just don't watch it.
There are people who don't watch it. Your friend Chris.
Yeah, not your friend Chris, my friend Chris.
Yeah, I don't know if Chris watches anime either, but he's got younger kids, so he might.
But I feel like he would also give it a chance, though.
For sure, yeah. But yeah, so that, to the point of that scene that you're mentioning where the character's running across the screen, and he's like, I'll murder you. I feel like as an English-speaking viewer, I don't feel like that scene itself would resonate or translate the same way to me in Japanese reading I'll murder you.
It's tough to say because, I watched all of One Piece in English until I wasn't able to anymore. And then I watched it in Japanese. And, if the joke is good, I feel like it still lands really well. But, yeah, I think as just an English-speaking person, I like it in English better. Just one, I'm lazy. I don't want to have to read if I don't have to. Sometimes I like to browse on my phone if I've already watched the show once. But then, I think certain jokes, when they're delivered like that, when they're in, the language that you understand, it's way funnier.
Yeah, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But I'll watch it in both. And I even mentioned the movie Prey yesterday.
Predator one.
Yeah, the newest arc in the Predator series. And I prefer that movie in the Native American tongue as opposed to watching it in English, and I watched it both ways. Mm-hmm. And then I went back and watched it again in the native language, just because I thought that story didn't translate as well in English as what the words were.
Right.
And there was also just much more of a connection with the heritage in the native tongue. You kind of felt like that. Those conversations between her and her brother and the tribal people
made more sense.
Yeah, it just all felt right.
Yeah, well, and because we've talked about it before, but with the argument of subs versus dubs, again, at the end of the day, watch whatever you prefer. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, of course.
When certain things, like the creator of Cowboy Bebop, when they had said that Steve Bloom, the voice of Spike Spiegel, when that's the exact way that they pictured that character sounding, to me, that's a pretty good advocate for you should watch that in English.
Well, yeah, because if the creator intended it to be heard and listened to that way, that's what I would do too.
Right.
You know.
Well, and like I told you the other day, I saw Sonny Strait, the voice of Usopp in One Piece. He had said that Oda handpicked the original Straw Hat members. I mean, to me, it doesn't get much better than that.
True.
That's the literal creator saying, "You are the perfect one for this."
Right. I mean, it's hard to argue
Right.
with that. So, so let's go over. Let's actually go over to One Piece, and we're in volume. I'm in volume 63, I guess we can say. And so, you mentioned earlier that a lot of people say after the time skip that some of the silly elements of the writing went away, and it felt more serious. Like a lot of fans say that.
That's what I've seen. I don't know the percentage or the legitimacy of it, but that's what I've seen. But yeah, then you get something like this.
Right. And so, you know, last time we talked about One Piece, we were with Shirahoshi.
Right.
Luffy had met her, and she hasn't been stuck in the castle for 10 years.
Right.
Because the axes are getting thrown at her from Vanderdecken. And
Which,
so,
in itself, hilariously stupid.
exactly. So the stupidity is still heavily laced throughout this because that's Oda. His sense of humor is just that way. So the first time that you get a look at something absurdly stupid is, to me, in this volume when Luffy comes up with a plan to get Shirahoshi out of the castle because she wants to go to the garden in the sea.
Something like, I think, like where her mom was.
Yeah, where her mom was, and she's not been able to go there for 10 years. So Luffy says, well, just climb inside Megalo's mouth.
And let's go for a little swim.
And yeah, we'll go for a swim. And so that's what this animation is here.
Well, you phrase it so perfectly, too, that he's got the meat sweats.
Yeah, he literally looks like he has eaten 5,000 pounds of meat.
He
And,
basically has.
so
55 feet worth of it.
so the silly element of the series is still very much there.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know specifically if it's the fact that people are like, they're saying that like, oh, it's not as silly, or if it's that like some of the characters aren't as ridiculous. Because, you know, like you get Arlong at the beginning, you get,
Sure.
you know, not Crocodile, but like the, who were the assassins? What was their name? Like the group of them.
The one that had like that guy Jin.
In Alabasta. So like you got like, you know, Miss Sunday, Mr. 1, Mr. 2. What were they called?
Cypher Corps?
No, you're thinking of Cypher Pole. That's different. That's Enies Lobby.
I can't remember, but they were working like with the government.
Yeah. Well, like, you know, like
Oh,
all those
the
character designs.
CP9?
No, that's still Cypher Pole. I'll look it up. No, but like all those characters, like they all look so ridiculous and outlandish that it's like, then you start getting other characters like, you know, like right now I'm trying to think. Granted, all of the enemies that you're witnessing are all fishmen, but like they don't look as ridiculous.
Yeah, I guess what I would say to that is just very much like Harry Potter, right?
Mm-hmm.
He starts the series as an 11-year-old or something, but then they continue to show him in the next year. So obviously he's growing up.
Right.
Same thing with the Straw Hats. You know, you see them fighting these ridiculous people in their infancy, and you almost think that's...
Well, the show matures with the reader.
Yeah, so like that is a kind of a natural progression to me.
Yeah. Also, it was Baroque works.
The Baroque works. Yeah, that's right.
If it ain't Baroque, don't fix it.
Well, thank God it was broke because they got Robin.
That's true.
So,
no, but like I mean, another good example with that though is, did you ever watch Samurai Jack in the early 2000s?
No, I think I'm confusing. That's not the one with Samuel L. Jackson, is it?
That's Afro Samurai.
Okay, no. No.
Samurai Jack was on Cartoon Network. It was created by Gendy Tartakovsky. I think it ran from like 2000 to maybe 2007, something like that, and then it got canceled. Came back, I think, in 2016, 2017, around there, but like because it had been so long, rather than we're putting it back on Cartoon Network, they put it on Adult Swim.
Okay.
So then the whole theme of it was a little different. It was still, you know, whimsical and childish, but then it had things like at one point he decapitates somebody, which had never happened in the show.
Got it.
He deals with murdering a human, and he's like, oh my god! But like it had more adult elements because his thought process was, look, this started when people were children. if they're going to watch it, they've been fans of the show. They're all adults now. We're making it for them.
Right. And that just makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And that 5th season is amazing.
Well, maybe I'll just check out the 5th season.
I mean, the whole show is really good, but you might be a little confused on just the 5th season. Maybe not. I don't know. It's a good show. I would recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, I just heard you say that's the bloody part, and I'm like, yeah.
Well, yeah, but...
Let's do that.
Yeah, but...
Speaking of bloody parts, so a lot of people in this part of One Piece are bored with Fishman Island.
Because Fishman Island is just boring.
And I won't, wholeheartedly disagree with you.
It's not the worst, but, again, and we've said this before, I'm sure reading it is way better and way easier than watching it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fairly easy to read, and I guess I like it because it shows you another layer of the Straw Hats, kind of leveling up.
Right.
Because they've made it to the ocean floor, which isn't easy. It's a perilous journey.
Well, that's the whole point of Fishman Island, is just basically to show how strong they've gotten to then enter the new world.
Yeah, and so I'm enjoying it, but then there's this, in the volume that I have just finished, volume 63, is where you kind of get a look at the overbearing amount of racism that exists between the humans and the fishmen. And the celestial dragons, which are...
They're the worst of it.
I'll say this out loud. Celestial dragons is what I compare to, super rich white people.
That's exactly what they are.
They're just the worst.
They're like the top 1% of the government, where it's and it's basically a parallel of the real world, where it's you've got the super rich people who can do whatever they want. Oh, if something happens, they just pay them their way out of it. That's what it is.
Yeah, and so they have, they still actively have slaves, and they have slave auctions, and...
ridiculously crazy.
It's crazy.
That's where they meet Rayleigh, isn't it?
Yes, that's where they meet.
There.
Yeah, he's there. He's a character, though. He was chilling there, but he was there exactly because he needed to be.
Right.
He knew...
absolutely.
He needed to be there. That's why I love that character, because he's just he's like Gandalf. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's I'm never late or early. I arrive exactly when I mean to, and that's Rayleigh. He's there exactly when he needs to be. But yeah, so these celestial dragons are absolute prick sauce, and they come down to the ocean floor to basically reacquire their slaves that had been freed by Tom. What was that Fishman?
The one that built the train?
No, not the big fella. The one that went and liberated all the slaves.
Cody Jones?
No, that's not Hody Jones. It's the other guy. And he was the Tiger King.
Oh, yeah, not Tiger King. It's
you know who
Fisher
I'm
Tiger.
There you go.
Yeah.
So this guy, he's a fisherman. He liberates all the slaves, and then they basically start running amok as pirates under the guise because nobody could be taken back if everybody is a pirate.
Right.
Is the theory, and so they become these pirates. They become ridiculously strong pirates, and Fisher King becomes the highest bounty in the world. Yeah. Nobody in Fishman Island knew that he was a slave personally, though. That's something they reveal to you later, and he's like, please don't tell anybody because it'll change the dynamic of what I have done here.
Has it shown why? Because they're the first Sons of the Sea. That's their pirate crew. Is it shown why they have that symbol?
Well, yeah. So they made the symbol because they would brand slaves, and then they basically
rebranded over it.
Yeah, so they rebranded over the slavery marking to become the Sun Pirates,
right.
And that was how they deceived everyone. It's were you a slave, were you not?
Right, but then
only the celestial dragons knew their own specific escaped.
Right,
and so the two of them came down to the ocean floor to reacquire their slaves, for lack of a better term, right? And who hits them?
Luffy.
Is it Luffy? Okay, of course it's Luffy.
So that scene in the anime is fantastic too, because I don't know how it's drawn in the manga, but Luffy hits him so hard that people make the joke where it's God damn, they knocked him right back into the manga, because it just goes black and white sketches. It's amazing.
Well, so that definitely, that joke doesn't come that way
Right.
But yeah,
he
he
just goes gangbusters on it.
Yeah, he wrecks him.
I think it's what Charlos. I think is that guy's name.
That sounds right. I've had a hard time remembering the names of those ones.
Because you're also getting introduced to a lot of characters all at once.
Right. And so that happens, and then they kind of flash back into where this all began.
Right.
And they show this queen.
Otohime.
Okay. Otohime.
I got you.
Otohime really believes in ending
the
racism between these two peoples and says, let's go to the surface and we'll negotiate. And so King Neptune says, I'll go.
Right.
They will never mess with me. I'll go.
Right.
And then
he's another one of he's a high power.
Right. And he's huge and he's strong.
Right.
And so you think, well, I'll go. They won't mess with me. And his wife, Otohime, says, no, that's the point. I have to go and come back. That will show that we're making progress.
Right.
So she does go and she does come back. And it seems like things are going to be going great. You know, the people on the surface agreed to work with them. They're going to invite them to the next conference of the
reverie.
Yeah, of people that meet and talk about the course of the world. And you're happy. And Queen Otohime now has the entire Fishman Island behind her and signing her petition to actually go to the surface and try to integrate with the humans. And we're having some progress, and it seems great. And then this happens. And
it's a good old gotcha bitch kind of moment.
Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And this is where issue 63 ends, or volume 63 ends, with Queen Otohime getting shot.
Pretty good way to end a volume.
It's such a cliffhanger because obviously I need to go and read
64.
Yeah, because I need to know what happens. And so so with that being said, that's basically where this volume ends, and things are going to transition
right
because of this. And so that's all I'm going to say. I still love One Piece. I think it's great. Everything I read is great. And even though Fishman Island's probably harder to watch in the anime, I'm enjoying reading it because, it's...
Reading's also usually a lot quicker, too.
Yeah, I think it is. And I don't know, it's just less of a commitment maybe even because I can put it down whenever and I pick it up, and it's not like I was watching something and just stopped at a weird spot.
Yeah,
so like
sometimes when you go to watch it again, you're like, what just happened? So you have to rewind and rewatch the whole thing. Yeah, it's kind of annoying when you do that. So,
but with that being said, anybody has some more anime or manga suggestions? So far, it's been a kind of a tenuous thing to recommend to us, but
actually, speaking of that actually works really well with this because you want to get. You want to watch or read new anime and manga.
Oh, sure.
I've got a list right here that I'm curious to see if you can decipher which ones are real and which ones are not. Because lately there's been a thing where anime has just had very weird and long titles. Some of them make no sense.
Sure.
I think Crunchyroll had they had a category recently that was like the original manga title was so long that we had to change it in English to make it so it would fit the character limit. Because they're smart asses, they cut it off at limit.
Yeah.
But
okay.
So to start this off, we're just gonna go with Fooly Cooly, real or fake?
How's it spelled?
FLCL.
Yeah, I think that's real.
It is real.
Okay.
That's a weird show. Like I like it. It's really fucking weird.
Okay.
Revolutionary Girl Utena, or Utena. I don't know how it would be pronounced.
That feels like a setup. That feels fake.
That's actually real.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hitalia.
That definitely sounds fake.
That's real.
Jesus. Okay.
Summoned to another world for a second time.
That sounds real.
That is real.
That sounds real.
Midnight of Oda.
That sounds like a trick. Just because I know Oda from One Piece, it feels like y'all are trying to fuck with me. That feels fake.
It is fake. Which,
but I could see it being a movie or something,
right?
To
preface though, I literally Googled fake anime titles and just found an anime title generator. So that's what some of these popped up. Magic resurrection.
Magical erection?
Magic resurrection.
Right.
Same difference.
Real.
Fake. Rent a girlfriend.
That's real.
It's 100% real. Domestic girlfriend.
You know what? Because I know that something called domestic house husband exists, I'm going to say that one's fake.
It is real.
So
the one you're thinking of, though, is Way of the House Husband, which is also fantastic.
Okay.
In another world with my smartphone.
That feels so Japanese. That feels real.
It is real. Turbo Hell Grapplers.
What is that, the name of the new Dallas rollerball team?
Sure.
No, that feels fake.
That is fake. Let's see. Aristocrats' otherworldly adventure, serving gods who go too far.
That feels like the definition of what you just told me Crunchyroll tried to avoid. I'm going to say real.
That's where I found that one. Mashal, magic and muscles.
That's got to be real.
It's real.
It's so stupid.
Why Rayliana ended up at the Duke's mansion.
What?
Yeah.
Is that a Kardashian anime? What?
I have no fucking idea.
I mean, real?
Yeah. Space, army.
Is there an intentional long pause there?
There's a colon. So space, colon, army.
It's so... I feel like it describes so much of nothing, it feels real.
That's fake.
Damn.
And then we had talked about these the other day, so I feel like you're going to know the answer. But Akame ga Kill.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. That's real, right?
That is real.
Yeah.
And that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
Well, I know that's real. Yeah.
We've talked about that
Yeah.
one. So.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
I didn't do too badly.
Pretty solid. You just got to think. You're like, it sounds really outlandish in Japanese. It's probably real.
That's usually, yeah, and then you watch it and you're like, oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I guarantee. I haven't watched them, but I feel like Rent a Girlfriend and Domestic Girlfriend are going to be hilarious.
They have to be.
I would hope.
So that's today's show. And hit us with some likes, some subscribes, some advice, and a T-shirt. Maybe send us a T-shirt.
I wear a large. This is an XL. This is actually AJ's shirt.
We'll just leave your shirt size. People can guess my shirt size like a carnival person that
Jesus
guesses the weight.
A lot.
Yeah, too big. All right, peace.
Bye.